Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a crucial topic for all you globetrotters out there. As of December 2024, several countries have decided to make things a tad difficult for US citizens. Some advisories are less about border control and more about, we're not sure you'll enjoy your stay. So buckle up because we're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of the top 10 countries you might want to avoid right now. North Korea, the land of mystery, intrigue, and really bad haircuts. Look, I'm not saying you won't have a fascinating time in North Korea, you probably will. It's just that the fascinating part might involve being interrogated under a flickering fluorescent light while someone tries to explain the finer points of Juche ideology. The US Department of State has a standing do not travel advisory for North Korea. That's right, they didn't even bother with a catchy name for this advisory level, it's just do not travel. It's like the caution contents maybe hot label on a coffee cup. Why? Well, there's the serious risk of arrest and long-term detention for starters. Apparently they're not fans of impromptu karaoke renditions of Gangnam Style over there. And here's the kicker, your trusty US passport is about as useful as a chocolate teapot in North Korea. Unless you've got some special validation. So, unless you're really into propaganda posters and limited internet access, and I mean really into it, maybe give North Korea a miss this year. Your sanity will thank you. Next up, we're hopping over to Iran, a country with a rich history, stunning architecture, and a government that seems to have a slight misunderstanding of what constitutes diplomatic relations. Now, I'm not saying you can't appreciate Persian rugs and delicious kebabs without getting caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war, but let's just say the State Department advises against it. Why, you ask? Well, there's the small matter of arbitrary arrest and detention of US citizens. It's like a game of legal roulette, except instead of winning a prize, you might win an extended stay in an Iranian prison. The tensions between the US and Iran are about as subtle as a sledgehammer in a china shop. So while you might be tempted to wander the bazaars of Tehran or marvel at the ruins of Persepolis, maybe hold off for now, unless of course you're a big fan of lengthy negotiations and international incidents. If that's the case, well, you do you, but for everyone else maybe wait until things cool down a bit. Let's be honest folks, Syria has seen better days. In fact, it's seen a lot of better days. We're talking centuries of better days. The kind of days where you could wander ancient ruins without worrying about stepping on a landmine. Unfortunately, those days are currently on hiatus, thanks to ongoing conflict, terrorism, and a general atmosphere of things could explode at any moment. The US government, not exactly known for its risk-taking, has decided that maybe, just maybe, Syria isn't the ideal vacation spot right now. I mean, I'm all for a good adventure, but I draw the line at dodging bullets while trying to find a decent falafel stand. The security environment in Syria is about as stable as a Jenga tower after 12 tequila shots, so unless you're a war correspondent with a death wish, maybe stick to exploring Syria through the magic of documentaries for now. It's safer, and you can always pause for snacks. Okay, Russia, land of vodka, borscht, and complicated relationships with the Western world. Remember those charming nesting dolls? Now imagine a stern babushka shaking her fist about sanctions. The conflict with Ukraine has put a damper on things. The US advises against travel to Russia. It's not just the threat of a geopolitical chess match. Harassment of foreigners is rising, and local laws are inconsistent. You can still have a good time in Russia. Maybe meet a friendly bear who shares his vodka. But hold off on that Trans-Siberian Railway adventure for now. Belarus, where dictatorships and potato pancakes collide. Next up, we have Belarus, a country that's often described as Europe's last dictatorship. And honestly, folks, I think we can all agree that Europe has enough dictatorships to last a lifetime. The US Department of State, bless their cautious little hearts, has slapped a do not travel advisory on Belarus. Why, you ask? Well, where do we even begin? There's the arbitrary enforcement of laws, for starters. It's like playing a game where the rules change every 5 minutes, and you're always the one losing. Then there's the risk of detention, which, let's be honest, is never a fun time. And as if that wasn't enough, Belarus has decided to be best friends with Russia, which means they're also dealing with the spillover effects of the whole Ukraine situation. So, unless you're a big fan of authoritarian regimes and the constant threat of imprisonment, maybe give Belarus a wide berth this year. Your freedom will thank you. Ah, Venezuela, a country with stunning natural beauty, vibrant culture, and a government that's about as stable as a unicycle on a tightrope. You've got the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest, beautiful beaches, and a whole lot of political and economic turmoil. The US Department of State has issued a do not travel advisory for Venezuela. And honestly, can you blame them? We're talking high levels of crime, civil unrest, and arbitrary arrest of US citizens. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, except all the endings involve either getting robbed, kidnapped, or thrown in jail. The US Embassy in Caracas suspended operations in 2019. It's like your friend moving out right before you need to borrow their Netflix password. So, unless you're fluent in Spanish, have a black belt in self-defense, and a really good lawyer on speed dial, maybe postpone that trip to Angel Falls for now. Your safety is more important. Stay cautious. Yemen, where do we even begin? Imagine a country where terrorism, civil unrest, health risks, kidnapping, and armed conflict are all just part of the daily routine. It's like the set of a Mad Max movie, except with less leather and more sand. The US government, in a rare moment of clarity, advises against all travel to Yemen, and frankly, that's putting it mildly. The security situation is about as volatile as a bag of nitroglycerin in a bouncy castle. Oh, and did I mention the US government's ability to assist citizens in Yemen is about as effective as a screen door on a submarine? Yeah, it's not great, so unless you're a war journalist with a death wish and a really good life insurance policy, maybe skip Yemen this year. Your loved ones will thank you. Stay safe. Libya, once the jewel of North Africa, is now a cautionary tale about what happens when dictators get overthrown and nobody bothers to pick up the pieces. It's like a house party where everyone left without cleaning up, except instead of empty beer cans and pizza boxes, there are armed militias and unexploded ordnance. The US Department of State, never one to sugarcoat things, has slapped a do not travel advisory on Libya. And honestly, can you blame them? We're talking ongoing conflict, rampant crime, terrorism, and enough civil unrest to make a head spin. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book where all the endings involve either getting shot, blown up, or kidnapped. And to make matters worse, the US Embassy in Tripoli decided to call it quits and suspend operations back in 2014, so unless you're a big fan of dodging bullets, negotiating with warlords, and living life on the edge, maybe give Libya a miss this year. Stay cautious. Ah, Somalia, a country that's synonymous with pirates, famine, and general chaos. It's like the Bermuda Triangle of Africa, except instead of disappearing ships, you've got disappearing hopes and dreams. The US government, in a rare moment of common sense, advises against all travel to Somalia, and frankly, that's putting it mildly. We're talking rampant crime, terrorism, civil unrest, health issues that would make a doctor faint, and kidnapping that would make a Hollywood producer blush. It's like the set of a post-apocalyptic movie, except without the cool costumes and special effects. And let's not forget about the whole lack of a functioning central government thing. It's like a car without a steering wheel. So, unless you're a war correspondent with a death wish and a really good supply of hand sanitizer, maybe skip Somalia this year. Your immune system will thank you. And last but not least, we have Afghanistan, a country that's been through more regime changes than Taylor Swift has had #1 hits. It's like the geopolitical equivalent of a revolving door, except instead of awkward businessmen, you have heavily armed insurgents. The US Department of State, never one to miss an opportunity to issue a travel advisory, has slapped a big fat do not travel warning on Afghanistan. And honestly, can you blame them? We're talking civil unrest, armed conflict, crime, terrorism, and kidnapping, all served up with a side of political instability. It's like a buffet of everything you don't want in a vacation destination. And to make matters worse, the US Embassy in Kabul decided to pack up shop and flee the country back in 2021, just like everyone else with a lick of sense. So, unless you're a war junkie with a death wish and a really good travel agent, maybe give Afghanistan a miss this year. Stay safe. So there you have it, folks, the top 10 countries Americans should probably avoid like the plague in 2024. It's a real shame because some of these places are absolutely beautiful and have so much to offer. But hey, that's geopolitics for you, always ruining everyone's fun. Remember, the geopolitical landscape can change rapidly, so always check the US Department of State's official travel advisories before planning any international travel. Stay safe, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.